Hey, everybody, and welcome to Maximum Libertarian. I'm joined today by Chef LiLi, and we've just got a few topics to go over that, I find interesting, that hopefully you'll find interesting. So, if you want to follow what topics we're talking about, you can go to our Twitter page, which is at WeAreMaxLib. Go there, and you'll see all the topics that we're going to discuss from the websites that we've talked about here today. So, all right, let's start off with the first one. I know I named this this podcast. First one was like who invited the Haitians and homelessness to the party, but we're going to start off with the Joe Biden chants that have been gaining steam throughout the country. And, you know, not that I'm a big Joe Biden supporter by any stretch of the imagination, but you got to look at all the other presidents that, since I'm 46, so since I've been voting, the disrespect towards the presidency has been going down and down and down. Now, maybe is it because of the internet and we're actually being exposed? I mean, we could have that debate, but I don't know. I find it weird that we're chanting "F Joe Biden" at sporting events. This comes from the InfoWars, and they have different showing different people chanting weekends for F Joe Biden. It's hashtag FJB. So what do you think about this? So what do you think about that type of stuff here?
I'm absolutely for it. Because I love history. I loved how they used to make fun of Theodore Roosevelt because he was trying to break up monopolies. And back in his day, all the way up to maybe like the late 90s, newspapers used to make fun of a lot of the presidents. And it really got steamed when Reagan was in office in the 80s. And I remember just hearing my family talk about him and how they were making fun of him. And then when Saturday Night Live was funny, they would make fun of Ross Perot. They would make fun of George Bush Sr. as well as Jr. And it was something to not so much get the real news out, but to make fun of what's happening. And today it's just like, we had to live. When I say we, I'm talking about you, Brian. I'm putting you in this.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 4 years, like 2015, it really amped up to 2020. Was everything was evil about President Trump? Everything was evil and nothing was good and all this other stuff. Well, I just read earlier today that I might pronounce this wrong, Wahoo um, PAC was behind the bashing of President Trump for the 4 years, and they actually won a prize for it. And I will definitely, I gotta find that link. But oh, actually, I know I have it right now. So we have been mocking the president for as long as I can remember, actually. But when I hear people screaming F, our president now, it makes me very happy because it makes me feel that people are paying attention to what is happening and what is happening. There's so many real disastrous things that are happening, and this president is like not caring at all. Was it this weekend? SpaceX just
Mm-hmm.
came back, like I think it was Sunday, and oh no, was it Musk?
Yeah, Elon Musk.
Elon. Okay, I always forget his first name. I should say Mr. Musk. Um, like claps back and says, "Oh, the president was sleeping. That's why he hasn't said anything." I thought that was so hilarious.
Right. Well, I guess when it comes to the way that I remember reading that they said like Saturday Night Live and things would make the Republicans would always be buffoons. They would be mindless. They'd be idiots. They'd have no brains. Where if you looked at the way they portrayed Bill Clinton, he was just this lovable guy that liked to go to McDonald's and, yeah, he cheated on his wife, wink, wink, but
But
no
no,
one
that
really
was the
cares.
biggest. No, everybody cared.
No, it didn't.
Yes.
No, look at Family Guy.
Okay.
Look at the way it's portrayed on Family Guy. Look at the way it's portrayed on Saturday Night Live.
Your family may not have cared, but I know how my family in my community where I came from, right? It was scandalous. It was huge. Everybody couldn't believe that this kind person, allegedly kind person, we're actually talking about President Clinton or former President Clinton. And it was like, it was mind blowing, right? And then because when it first came out, right, the Republicans that I was surrounded by, right, it was all a benefit of a doubt. We don't know until we find out more proof, right? But then when President Clinton went on national TV and said, "What is the definition of is?"
Right.
Everybody was like, this guy is guilty as sin. And he was like, oh my gosh, everybody's mind was blown. Everybody was like, see, that's why we hate Democrats. They're always liars and now they're adulterers and all this other stuff. But you got to think the scandal, they were trying to impeach him. That was a huge, huge deal. And you're just dismissing it because what we're going through now. But you got to remember, one of the things that I remember as a kid was Lorena Bobbitt. That was a huge, huge thing, right? Lorena Bobbitt was a immigrant that married a soldier, or I don't know if he was a Marine or something like that. And oh my gosh,
Yeah,
he beat her. He beat her senseless, and he raped her. And people were like, "Oh, how can you rape your wife? That's shenanigans, da da da," right? And she was talking to her mother, and her mother was not supporting her about leaving because they were so Christian or Catholics. And so she cut off his genitalia. And well, now it comes to find out he is a rapist. We don't even have to say allegedly anymore. Like, it is out there that he raped another person. And he was trying to go into the porn industry and all this other stuff. And it was just so ridiculous, Brian. But I remember when Lorena came out with what that happened with, and then how they were comparing it to Bill Clinton and all this other stuff, right? And it was like, the joke was on Bill Clinton. Oh, you can't get stuff done because you're getting a B job,
Yeah.
right? And oh, you can't focus or you're not doing it right because you're in the closet and all this other stuff, and you're trying to hide away from your wife Hillary. And that was like a huge blow, not just to the presidency, but everybody just started making fun of, and he became like very slowly like the mask was coming off and he was a puppet. Like, he really didn't do anything other than lock up minorities for a longer amount of time, and then that famous speech that Creepy Joe said in the Senate, that was in Bill Clinton's time too.
Right, but what I'm talking about is not so much that the family or communities, when you're looking at the Hollywood establishment, such as Saturday Night Live or Family Guy, the way they portray Bill Clinton or most Democrats as they're nice, lovable, sweet guys. If you look at the way they portray Joe Biden, they're not portraying him like what he is, a buffoon. He truly is. But
what do you mean, on TV?
yes,
Okay.
If you look at Saturday Night Live or Family Guy or any type of entertainment thing, the way they portray a right wing, how they portray a Democrat, how they portray a Libertarian, how they portray anything other, the Democrat will come off cool.
Yes,
no matter what happens. That's what I'm talking about. Bill Clinton was. I mean, he's now he's now
a joke.
Getting what he should have got years ago when Hillary ran. He was being confronted for things that the media should have really brought to the attention of the American people. Well, it was brought to the attention, but then they were just allowed it to be just brushed away, and it's strange.
Well, President 45, when they were doing the Hillary Clinton and President Trump um, debates, right? That was Saturday Night Live's fuel to the fire kind of deal. But what was crazy was, it wasn't crazy, it was very well planned. President Trump, who was just, a nominee for the Republican Party to be representing to become president, he brought all of the accusers of Bill Clinton in the front row so they could see him being a puppet and a joke and a moron. And it was like, I like that idea. That was because that brings two things to my mind. First, President Trump, well, actually, he wasn't president then, but he was so well aware and conscious of what had happened in the past that he wanted them to understand what is happening again, and giving those women front row seats in that. I thought it was all awesome. It was just awesome. Now, this fuck Joe Biden stuff is...
Did you enjoy it when they did it to Donald Trump?
I didn't really hear it with
People
Donald Trump.
threw eggs at him at the inauguration. And
see, I didn't even know that.
In 2017.
Nope, I didn't.
They treated him, for years, he was called a racist, he was called a fascist. He would be, people would yell at him, people would give him the middle finger if he went to the Trump Tower or whatever.
But nobody talks.
Were you in favor of that?
No, but I didn't see all of that.
But even though you didn't see it, were you in favor of it? This is the question is like, even though I see the presidency you're now beginning to see that it is they're puppets. No matter if it's Joe Biden or go back. All right, the people sitting in that White House is not the leader. It's like a preacher.
Yes.
We were at a church and he wanted to merge with he had a small church. We wanted the smaller. So it goes from 100 people in each church to having 200 people. People flipped out. And it wasn't just everybody. It was like 3 families. And they said, well, if you want more money, you go look elsewhere because we're not giving it to you. All right. It proved that the preacher is not always even though you would think he's the figurehead or he would be the guy with the last call, he's not. You know what I'm saying?
Because they got a council
and
the elders.
And there's exactly what the presidency is. There's more people to it. So in turn, what I remember being a kid. Yeah, people would make fun of Reagan. People would make fun of Bush or Clinton. A lot of times it was more lighthearted. Maybe it's because I was a kid and I didn't see the anger of it. But now I'm seeing the anger of it, and I would almost like to at least, when my president, look, Joe Biden speaks to the UN today. And I don't have good warm fuzzies. He's going to go up there and make America look good. Because he's done piss poor on his thing. If people are hollering F Joe Biden, cool. If you're giving Trump the middle finger, know what you're doing it for. I think in today's world, what we do is we just follow the masses. We just start chanting F Joe Biden. Why's F Joe Biden? What policies has he done?
Okay, I can break that down.
You
2.5 seconds.
You can, but so many people out there. They're hollering F Joe Biden. They don't know nothing. Look, I was at AMVETS with Tracy.
Oh, Lord.
And I said, hey, man, what about this Haitians? And we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. At the border. He's like, what are you talking about? He don't even know about it. But he'll sit there and tell me how bad Joe Biden is. Yeah. If you're going to hate a president or if you're going to disrespect the president, at least know what you're talking about.
Yes.
But that's about everybody, I guess. And that's what my question is, and that's what the thing is I would like to see us go back to where I can, there was an officer in the Navy. I would salute him. And I hate saluting suits. I want to salute the person.
Okay.
But I also understand I salute the suit because there's some officers I had no use for. And just like when I look at the presidency, I want to at least be able to say, okay, I'm going to give him respect. If he was to walk into my house, and I'm not going to give him a whole thing about how he's a nitwit, a doofus, and blah blah blah. You
Okay.
know,
So now that I listened to all of that
yeah.
and I'm respecting you, the thing is this that really lights the fire is that the people that were literally behind the I hate Trump, Trump is bad, Orange Man is bad, and all this other stuff, right? I just shared with you. It was a PACK, a pack of people, but it was an actual uh like a group, like a company, that all they did every single day for 4 years was spit out hate on the President Trump, right?
Right.
But then nobody ever stands back and looks at all the cool things that he actually passed, right? I can actually say there's one thing that Creepy Joe did that was actually okay. He passed and made it a law that every veteran that wants to have a service dog can have it. And any dog that you have can technically, if you're a veteran, and when I say veteran, I mean military veteran, can have a service dog. And if they have a dog already, they can enroll and get it actually entitlement of saying it's a service dog, which that allows the owner of the veteran can go to any store, any place like that, and actually have their pet with them. And a service dog is like actually renders service to the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like therapy dogs, comfort dogs, and all this other stuff, right? And it's funny because like there was a movie when I was, oh my gosh, I was still in culinary school. It was called the Compass, and they had it was a person with an animal next to them,
Yeah, yeah.
and it wasn't called an animal, it was called their demon. And it was like, I had to get over that thought of like, I like my Rex, which is my German Shepherd, which he's legally now a service dog. But it was like, to me, that was one thing I can say Creepy Joe did that was okay. Now, the one thing about making fun of presidents and stuff like that, it really got out of proportion when it was, I have to say, when it was Obama. And a lot of people don't realize how many Americans disliked Obama. I didn't know until I started doing research on this topic, because we were going to talk about it today. A lot of people went to mosque because it was known that Obama is in Mason, right? He believes in like in the secret society of Masons and stuff like that. I don't have the article, but Alex Jones and Infowars did do something cool about that. But there was one thing that I really enjoyed a lot was knowing like what hatred is versus what you said. Am I going just with the crowd and stuff like that? Now, with Creepy Joe, he fell asleep when he was having a conversation with the ambassador to Israel. And a lot of people just like overlook that, right? But that is something serious. And I feel like a lot of people make fun of Creepy Joe, because I can't even call him, the P word, but I just call him Creepy Joe, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. I can't even render him the respect of saying who he actually has the title.
But
Right?
see, that's the thing, is what we need to try to get.
I can't get past over it,
I don't even know
because Alan is dead. And Mr. Hernandez, all of my friends that I was attached to when I was in the Navy, they're dead. They died in Afghanistan. And to me, to give a title to a ridiculous human being, and if you want to call him a puppet, you can, I guess. But these men, these Marines, are no longer breathing. What was it? Alan had 3 children, and Hernandez had, I think, like 2, and 1 was on the way, so that would be technically 3. And it was just like there's no father there. So when we have all these issues that are coming up with these weird people with their 8,000 different hair colors, and they're just so detached from family values and the family itself. Well, now you're doing it to the military, and it was like, I know we talked about this on the last pod. It was like a slap in the face, but I cannot look over that and call him the title of what, what Creepy Joe has. I can't do that. But see, the thing is, I know history and I love history, but it is so ridiculous of how many times in history that it repeats itself. And I forgot what professor told me was the reason why history repeats itself is because nobody learns or reads their history. And I was watching, Creepy Joe, um, right after his inauguration. He went. His wife was holding his hand. I don't even want to call her doctor, but he let go of her hand, right? And he saw a black man, right? And there was all these white people and stuff like that. He was signaling to shake a black man's hand, not an American, not somebody that maybe had voted for him. And the black man took his hand away and said, "Oh no, I'm not touching. No."
Right.
And I was thinking, okay, if that was a Democrat, why would he do that? That was probably the person he voted for, right? Then my husband told me, oh, it was probably the pandemic. He's so brainwashed thinking that, oh my gosh, if I touch a person that has an effing glove on, and I have an effing glove on, when I say gloves, I meant like wintertime gloves. I could catch the coof and I could die, because this Chinese virus is so horrible,
Right.
right? So then I was just thinking, wow, you just effed up your opportunity to shake the most powerful man in this nation because you're so paranoid over whatever information you may be getting on the Communist News Network, which is CNN, right? I love saying that because I really believe that now. But it was like when you have a grasp of what has happened, right? Because, like, to you, what you just shared with me earlier, it wasn't a big deal about Clinton. It was a humongous big deal where I came from. Like, oh my gosh, that's like, you just don't cheat on your wife. You don't just do that and all this other stuff. And then it's like, back in the 90s, I said 80s, back in the 90s, right? The family unit was still really strong in most of the communities where I come from.
Right.
I can only speak to my neighborhood and all this other stuff. Everybody in my neighborhood, right, was married.
Right.
Everybody. There was no single parents, right? We had Secret Servicemen living in our, neighborhood, our community. We had pilots. We had all these different jobs, engineering and all electricians and everybody, right? People that design houses, constructions, and architects and stuff like that. We had so many different types of people, which made my community really neat because when we had career days in high school, you could pick whatever person you wanted to work with, right? And I really wanted to learn more about the military and stuff like that. So, but it was crazy though. We have been mocking presidents for a very long time, but I didn't get to finish what I wanted to say about President Obama. So people were making fake dolls of Obama and putting Muslim wear on him and then lighting him up. I didn't know that,
Right.
at the time. I was still, I wasn't fully aware and awake of what was happening, right? Then they had targets, and the targets came back out. So you have, I used to do like shooting on the range and stuff like that. That was a big, huge thing. But what was crazy was they had targets of Obama. That's the first president I've ever seen targets made for. Now they have Trump, and now they have Creepy Joe. So they have all of the new modern presidents that you can actually assassinate,
Right.
which in the mind is like, what the, that's crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then they had, so we really focused on like making fun of and mocking and stuff like that. But I really feel that, once I understood what mocking was, I do realize that a lot of people did mock Reagan. They thought he was an extremist. They thought he was just bad, 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 right?
Right.
And then it was like, how is an extremist helping the whole entire country as a whole? You know, and that's when I really started learning and understanding what people's opinions are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because as a kid you don't really understand it. You just think, oh, that's just a weird crazy lady at the end of the cul-de-sac or something like that. That's the mentality, right? Oh, that's just a crazy person, because everybody else is on this side and one person's on the other side. That person that's on the other side is crazy,
Right.
right? So it's like, when the last 4 years I've been called a racist, I'm a bigot, I am a deplorable, I'm all of these negative words, right? But I can see that it's propaganda, right?
Right.
But when Hillary Clinton was running to become president, and they were like, they did, I don't know if you ever remember as a kid, the Garbage Pail Kids.
Mm-hmm.
They made things about Bernie Sanders. I think they did have Trump, but I can't remember now. They had a million of Hillary Clinton, Obama. Garbage Pail Kids was a cartoon that was put on a playing card, like a baseball card, and the Garbage Pail Kids had little titles, like sarcastic titles to it, and you could actually peel it off and stick it on, something else, or you could trade it,
Right.
like, and like a baseball card almost. And that was something that was also used in the generation of Obama. And then
Okay.
I saw it in Trump, and then I saw it in Creepy Joe. But it was crazy because, like, when we talk about we're mocking and we're making fun of presidents and stuff like that, yes, we're actually doing that. And now, because everybody that was a supporter of President Trump is now like, okay, gloves are off. You called me a racist. You called me a bigot. You called me all of these negative and negative names, right? And now it's time because I feel Republicans, conservatives, some libertarians, because Ross Perot, who was one of my favorites in the whole entire world, um, he was a libertarian.
No, he wasn't.
What was he?
He wasn't a libertarian. He was. He
But he
was
was
in
not a
he
Republican.
was in Reform Party. He started his own party.
I could have sworn that
No.
he was a libertarian or a
No.
constitutionalist, something like
He
that.
might have been in the con. I don't think. I don't even know if he was even what party he was ever even branded with. But he. All I know is he was a businessman. He came in. And he started his own party.
So what happened was, with Ross Perot, they really made fun of him. They made fun of him like he was 4 feet tall and had Spock ears. And they just made him always look like not a gremlin, but something like a dwarf, or something negative, right? And Ross Perot, you can think of it all you want, Brian, but I really like this Ross Perot guy, because he literally sat down and did an interview that I was like, doing this for like social studies. I had to watch something, right?
Mm-hmm.
He literally sat down and spoke that a person, well, I was always in advanced government because that was one of my things that I really liked, right? But he sat down and he had this interview, and he broke down what was wrong with the economy, what is wrong with debt, what is wrong with these things that we're always talking about. But when a politician starts talking about it, he tries to paint it in a different picture. And when I say he, because in Ross Perot time, that was all that was running. Okay, were men. There was never Kamala, or there was never Sarah Palin. There were women weren't in there in the race just yet.
Right.
But so what happened was, and Roseanne, she ran for president in 2016.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so there was all these mockery and disrespectfulness to going towards Ross Perot. But Ross Perot, he saw through all of that. But then something hit the road, and he got out of the race. And like to this day, there's so many people that said, oh, because he was crooked, and he found, somebody, said that he was crooked, and they had like proof or whatever, but that never came out. So if Ross Perot paid somebody off, we would never know. And he passed away. God rest your soul. But what happened was, during this time of mockery, right? He came out, and like when he did this interview, he was like, this is what's wrong with America. If I become your president, I will tell you how we're going to fix this. Like, he wanted to have, was it transparency,
Right.
right? But he actually, because I was a young kid, right? I actually believed him. Like, he gave a hoot about fixing the problems. Then we have President Trump coming along, and I got that same feeling. I don't know what all the problems are, but I know I can figure them out, or we can solve them and stuff like that. There was a farmer that was technically going to lose his whole entire farm. He was in debt up to his eyeballs. And he was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, yada, 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 right. And then the money, like, President Trump saw that and he solved it by taking money that we would be giving to China, and he gave it to all the farmers so they could get out of their debt and all this other stuff. And then he cut the regulations about, there's a lot of things about farming I did not know until President Trump became president. And that is one thing that I really admire with each president, even though they may be a puppet or not a puppet. It is up to the individual to do their research to find out what the heck is happening, right? Because I didn't know there's laws that if you are a farmer, you have to upgrade your equipment. You cannot be running equipment from the 80s, even though it still may work, right? And then it was they have seed laws. I didn't even know seed laws was a thing. SEEDS laws and regulations and stuff like that. So farmers in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and I think it changed in the 80s or 90s or something like that, that you couldn't reuse your own seeds, that you had to buy them. And then there was people that actually went to your farm. Let's say you had a farm, right? Took your seeds and dried them out for you, cleaned them up, right? And then he wouldn't sell them to you because it's your property, right? So all you paid for the guy was that he dried your seeds, he cleaned your seeds, and then next year you can use your own seeds again. See, that was the American way. And then when President Trump came back, he was in office. I don't know if I should say come back in office, but President Trump was like, okay, we're cutting that regulation. You should have every right to use your own product, right? Now, what Creepy Joe is doing is telling farmers nowadays, right? And Cole the Corn Star, who's a YouTuber in, I want to say Idaho, or how do you say Iowa?
Iowa.
Iowa. I think it's Iowa. But anyway, he's a YouTuber that explains the farm and stuff like that. And he made one comment about, like, he might have to be just destroying his own crops because that's what the government is telling them to do. And see,
Right.
that's another thing that really gets me. I don't know if you know anything about the Bible, but in the Bible, there was a king that saw, was it three uh, beautiful stacks of wheat, and then like six cows that were healthy and all this other stuff. And then the next part of his dream, all the cows were anorexic and looked like they were dying, and all the wheat was all dried up and nasty and stuff like that. And then he asked people, hey, can you come in and tell me what my dream means? And then I want to say it was Joseph, comes in and tells him, hey, this is what happened. You're going to have 7 years of good seeds and prosperity. And then on the 7th year, it's going to go back down, and you're going to have starvation. You're going to have bad crops and all this other stuff, right? And I feel like if the government is telling you, hey, we're going to give you $10 million, I need corn and soybean. That's it from you. You can't grow tomatoes. You can't you can't have cows. What else? You can't have horses. You can't have other livestock if you're receiving funds from the government. See, I didn't even know that, right? And so some of the farmers, they can only do hay. That's it.
Right.
And if you want to become an organic farm or something like that, there's like 10,000 more rules and 3 years of work that you can't do on your farm at all.
Yeah.
And because you're trying to, replenish the soil or whatnot. But I went too far. But what I wanted to say was how we mocked President Trump so much, and he did so much for people that we as Americans take advantage of, right? And when I say take advantage of, when we go to the supermarket and we see the eggs or we see the milk, we don't see the 8 million people that were behind that milk process and all these other things. We don't see that. We just take that. Holy moly, milk just went up $1. And like when I grew up, I remember my dad used to say, gosh, milk is getting really expensive, right? Well, when I was stationed in Florida, milk was like, what? We don't drink milk in Florida. The only thing we used in Florida that had milk in it was anything Cuban sauces or restaurants and what was it? Ice cream.
Right.
And that was it. But how we take no consideration for the people that produce the products that we use every single day, and then um, we mock the system itself, right? But when I saw, what was it? What's college was that they were screaming "F you, Biden"?
There was multiple
Okay,
colleges. So this one I think was
well,
in.
I thought it was Michigan State or something.
It's all over the place. So I'm not even certain which. It's
So
on Penn State,
Pence,
Tennessee
okay,
volunteers. They're doing it at country music festivals and things of
yes.
that nature. But this is just showing that regulations. I mean, you went real far into like the farming industry, but that when you go into it, there's so many regulations. People are getting paid to grow tobacco and then just destroy it.
Yes.
They don't even do so. In turn, that's a waste of taxpayer funds. That's why we should
Right.
end some subsidies too. If you look at the sugar industry has so much subsidies put to it that it causes it to, people grow it and don't grow it, who should be growing it and who shouldn't be growing it, are being forced to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff to it that one man or one woman could not make a true difference. I think your best bet is to get local into your state, because if you want to buy
Yes.
raw milk, I don't care about the federal government as long as the state of Virginia says, okay, you can go buy your raw milk or your eggs or your vegetables from this farmer, and then you're able to. And that's where you need the food freedom from,
Yes.
as you need to get as local as possible.
Well, the cool thing that I was reading about President Coolidge and President Hoover, um, they were very mocked in their day. So you had the Roaring Twenties, and then we had, the crash and everything also happening and stuff like that, right? But these presidents were so mocked, like so disrespected, and they like I forgot what was it, what newspaper said we went a little too far, right? And like I really have a lot of respect for President Hoover and what he tried to do for the United States. But then when he didn't have patience, right? Because some presidents, especially in the 20s and 30s and 40s, still had the mentality that I don't want government help. I want like my community's help, right? And that we have totally destroyed that mentality. Like, let's say, Brian, you said, Lydia, I need some help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I need some help, and with my mom or with my house and stuff like that. I would be over here in like 2.5 seconds, right? Well, actually, it take me 45 minutes here get here today, but I try. But what happened is that I really think is I'm getting like a million text messages.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Um, the thing about mockery and making light of situations, but the last 4 years, I feel that Americans are sick and tired that the Democrats and other people have been spitting out such hate towards Americans that believe in family, that believe in love, I mean, when I say believe in love, like I love a man. I don't love a woman. I don't love a transgender. I don't love, traditional American like values. We are now, oh, I was called a Nazi and all these other ridiculous things. And it's just like, I have been called so many. I've been bullied for the last 4 years for my opinions and my thoughts and my way of life, and it's just like when Creepy Joe stole this election, I was just like, I'm done. I'm done in the aspect. I'm done I don't have respect. So that's gone, right? But I do have respect for my neighbor. I do have respect for, well, obviously I have respect for you.
Right.
But it's just like my level of tolerance for the media, for all the propaganda that's being shoved down our eyeballs and our throats and our ears and anywhere else that it can be shoved down at, right? Then what really gets me is, okay, so all the mockery is a retaliation, but it's also like a releasing of all the hate that we have received for the last four and a half years almost, right? And we're still being hated on because we believed in making America great, right? And when I say make America great, and then I hear people, oh, when was it great? Okay, those people need to go to Haiti. Okay, those people need to go to Libya, Nigeria, Egypt. What other places? Well, I can't say all the places that I've been, but there's a lot of places, right? In what was it? I don't know if it was the president. I want to say the president of Nigeria. I can't remember now, but I read something that over a 500,000 young girls got vaccinated, right? And now that they're, up to an age to get married and stuff, they cannot conceive. And it wasn't from the vaccine, from the COVID. It was a different vaccine.
Right.
And they told the Africans, oh, this is the vaccine for this. And in reality, it was to stop them from reproducing. And that to me is just crazy. And it was from the Bill Gates and Foundation that these vaccines came to the Africans, right? But it's like I know Bill Gates is not going to be the president, but we mocked him too, right? And it's like mocking and saying "f you" to Creepy Joe and stuff like that, right? I feel that it's a release, right? But it's also, because I'm so hurt, it's also telling you the truth, right? And the truth is, I don't give a fuck about that man. I really don't give a hoot, a care in the world for that creepy human being. When I see multiple videos, right, of him putting his hand on girls' waists, sniffing their hair, had his hand on this little girl's breast, and all these other things, right? It's just like, and everybody's okay with that in that environment, right? That's okay to touch, right? And then when you see, what was that guy from Alabama, that senator that worked in as the attorney general for President Trump?
Oh, Jeff
Sessions,
Sessions.
yes. He grabbed his baby, or I don't think it was his child, but it was like his niece or something like that. Or grandchild, grabbed her and put, nope, you're not touching this child. When people in Congress know that you're a child molester or know that you infringe on children and do these unspeakable things, I mean, Brian, you had children. Would you want somebody to smell their hair, touch them in their chest, even though they're not developed yet? And it's just like, the answer should be, and always should be,
Yeah.
no, I don't want that for my child, right? And like, I feel that Republicans, conservatives, constitutionalists, I'm not going to say libertarians because I don't want to speak for you, but this is our moment, because we don't know what's happening in Arizona audit still. We don't know what's happening in Georgia. But there's another article that came out today saying 43,000 invalid ballots just came out of Georgia again. Then we just saw what happened with Governor Newsom and Larry Elder. Mm-hmm. A lady put a gorilla costume face on, and she was a white lady, and threw something at Elder. Yeah. And then the photo that came out of LA Times, right? Yeah. And I know some of those people from LA Times, and they're really cool people, guys. They're just so far over, like, Republicans are bad, Republicans are evil, right? But so they have a picture of, in LA Times, you can look this up, of Larry Elder, uh, like defending, but they made it look like he was hitting the lady that was fucking white in a black gorilla face. That is freaking huge deal for me because that's racism, but we can't say nothing because she's a white chick. Really?
No, you can't.
I'm gonna say
No.
something.
You can't say something because he's a Republican running in a Democratic state.
Yes.
That's why you can't say anything.
Oh, I will say something about that because when people really realize what racism really is, you will sit down and you will shut your own mouth and say, holy crap, I may be falling into that line too. But let me tell you, oh my gosh, Mr. He was so calm about it. He was so calm. And how LA Times just turned one of the calmest guys, right? Now, I don't know Larry Elder like I know some of the other politicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen him angry, right? In any of the places, I used to hang out with the Republican Party in California. Oh, let me tell you guys, all you little Democrats, California is red. It's so red. But in your little cities that you rule right now in LA County, with whatever happened to Eric Garcetti being the ambassador to India? Whatever happened to that?
I have no clue.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the ambassador to India, and he's still like in frickin' the mayor. So I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, just like the state of Virginia and just like the state of Texas, it's these small little cities that are piling up, and they are turning something that is wholesome, family oriented into LA and San Francisco. Now, I went to San Francisco, right? Because there is a hotel that is almost like 300 years, like traditionally been open. I shouldn't say 300 years, but like 200 plus years, right? And no, about 100 and some years. Because I know it was built before World War One. I know it was built before the other plague that came. So it was before 1917 as well. But anyway, there was this hotel that's really famous. You have to be like a veteran to get this or active military to get this particular floor and all this other stuff, right? And it's really cool. It's really cool. And they have like a whole monument in the hotel itself, all the people that have died in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff like that. So they had it from literally 9/11. And I told my husband, I don't understand why everybody said that soldiers were dying in 2005, 2006. I go, what happened to the soldiers that were dying after September 11th? Because we didn't wait. We were there. And I don't understand why American people don't realize that, right? Okay, so moving on about the mocking. I just think it's really a release at this point in the game. We've always mocked our presidents. We've always mocked them to look stupid. All the way to Hoover, Coolidge, my favorite president, Theodore Roosevelt, my other favorite president, Trump. But Obama got it. Creepy Joe is getting it. But I feel like Creepy Joe is getting the highest volume, if you wanted to say it like that, because of the aspect of what happened in Afghanistan. And so many Americans are sick and tired of being called Nazis, bigots, deplorables, racists, and all this other stuff just for the simple fact to please something. Right? To please the other side. And it's like when I saw the videos of Black Lives Matter going into the restaurants and saying, oh, you can't tell black people they can't eat at your restaurant because they don't have a vaccine card and stuff like that. But wait, hold up. You have to have an ID card, right? To get this other card, right? And then it's just like everything can be tilted in however you want to see it. But I feel like the mockery for this president is because how we treated the last president. And the memes I seen for Creepy Joe, I laugh because I think they're absolutely funny. But I did not see all the hate for President Trump because I do not watch CNN. I do not watch NBC. I do not watch ABC. I do not watch CBS. I do not watch programming. And I think it's really interesting because back in the day, it was called programming because that's what it did. It programmed the mind to think and do what they want, right?
Right.
But now we call it TV shows, right? On TV. But actually, it's still programming because there is a good example. They were making fun of President Trump on this show called 99, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then they were mocking or making jokes about some of the things that he did in his administration and stuff like that, right? And Brooklyn Nine-Nine was actually a comic. What is it?
Comedy.
Yes, thank you. And now they came out with a new season, and it's so bad. The writing is so demonic. You can see it's all Democrat-owned writers now. So we don't even watch it anymore, right? And it's like, even like the Bill Cosby, right? That was actually called the Bill Cosby Show, right? And that's when he was a doctor and his wife was an attorney. And it was showing how Black community families, can live in the city and be a family and stuff like that. And I like that because even though I'm not Black, I really enjoyed that show.
Right. It was very good, but Bill Cosby was I guess
allegedly.
In the end of the day, it was he did some bad stuff. But I guess just to wrap this up real quick, yeah, I guess that whole idea was I wanted to talk about was that I just find that it became really cool. I know we've always disrespected the president and or elected officials, but I guess in the end of the day, what I would like to see people do is actually know why they're disrespecting a presidency and not just going on with the mob. And we have too much of that going on. They don't know anything about foreign policy. I'm not even asking you to be like you got to know, just spend your waking hours studying. I mean, it's just too much. You wouldn't be able to do anything else but.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've gotten to a point with all as much information at your fingertips. Even though I know it's being shadow banned, I understand that it gets hard to find. You need to do research before you just say, "Oh well, Joe Biden is this," or "Donald Trump is that," or whatever. That's where I have my issues with.
But it's on both sides. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
We need to focus on.
And really, in the end of the day, what you see is a lot of times I can sit down. Like there's no difference in me going to the gun show and people will say, "We like you guys because you're almost Republican." I can go down to Pride in the Park and they'll say, "We like you guys because you're almost Democrat." The difference is we're not a Republican and we're not a Democrat. But the issues that we might, if it's a social issue, we might agree with. If it's a fiscal issue, we might agree with it. And that's why I like being a libertarian more than anything. I can go around, and I think Republicans have done a bang up job in not doing anything. When they're in power, they did absolutely nothing. I mean, when President Trump went into office, he had the presidency, he had Congress, both chambers. They could have fixed health care.
Yep.
But what did they do? For 7 years, they told you how Obama's the devil and how they've got a plan and they're going to fix this thing. And when they got the power, they had absolutely nothing. But that really did blow me away. That truly blew me away. But I would like to see term limits. I don't think people should be there for life.
Right.
We've got too many, and I don't think we should just exclude old people by any stretch of it, because there's some people that are old that have done things,
Mm-hmm.
and
a lot of us are old.
Yeah, but let's. But that's why I like being. I personally like being the libertarian. Like I said, because there's issues that I can fall on both issues, and I hope and I pray that and like right now we're in the state of Virginia. We've got a governor election going on, and Terry McAuliffe and Glenn Youngkin both, and but Princess Blanding, sorry, is not allowed to be in the debates.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, you shared that last time.
and I will not. And
But you know why, right? Okay, so the reason why it's always going to be Democrats and Republicans doing debates and stuff like that is because of the impact and the amazing work of Ross Perot. Ross Perot changed the game, and nobody gives him credit for it. And the reason why you'll never see a libertarian president, you'll never see a conservative like Hoover ever again, is because everybody has, like, okay, so we can talk about the deep state, right? We can talk about all these stuff, right? But each person, like AOC, is under investigation again because the lady that made her dress for the gala, well, technically she shouldn't have gone to the gala because it is like, what, I think it was like $35,000 ticket.
it's a
And
$30,000 ticket in those. But if you looked at the lady who designed the dress that said "Eat or Tax the Rich," she's not paying her share of taxes.
on
You
her
know,
new mansion she bought
she
last
bought
year.
the big mansion. She
Yep.
hasn't bought the. She hasn't paid the taxes. I mean, AOC has done a bang up job in working people into getting
In trouble.
well, no, she's getting their money. And that's why you've got to be, when I look at our candidates for who run for the libertarians,
Mm-hmm.
like, are they here to push the agenda of the libertarian movement, the liberty movement, or are they here to advance themselves? You know, and I've got to like, if they can look, I know they got to make money.
Mm-hmm.
In the end of the day, um, so in turn, I have no issue. Like Dave Smith, he's a comedian. He might be the nominee for the LP. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, but it says does he really a serious viable candidate, or is he just going to be out there to push his podcast, his other comedy team, and things of that nature? And that's what you always got to look at too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
But I
overall,
want to say one more thing before
yeah,
I close. Okay, so with all the research that I've been doing lately on the illegal immigrants coming into the United States, I think it's really fascinating, but scary, and then extremely truth in it is all the males that are fighting age. I would have to say between the ages of 18 to the ages of 45, maybe 50, were put in airplanes and shipped back to the United States. And these are Afghanistans I'm talking about. Slash could be Taliban inside as well. We have caught a few Talibans. They have been screened and caught. But anyway, so that's one group of men, right? Then we have a second group of men, which is the El Salvadorians, all the Central and South Americans that are coming in illegally through the country are once again 18 up to the age of 50, right? We're seeing a lot of men. Then when the pictures came out about um, the Haitian, and once again, it's mostly men bringing children that probably are not theirs, allegedly. But some under President Trump, you had to take a scrape. You had to see a DNA test because if this child does not belong to you, even though you said it's your, baby mama or some other thing, right? But all these immigrants that are coming into our country right now are men. And I just think it's very fascinating, right? I shared with you last night that I cannot find the article. I looked for like 4 hours, right, trying to find this one article. There was a show that I like watching and listening to. It's called Salty Cracker. He's on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey, and BitChute. And what he said was that the Mexican government and the people and the mothers are giving their daughters that are going to make the trip north, which in Spanish is called El Norte. And it has, I mean, that is a sad movie. I mean, they actually made a film of that illegal immigrants coming in to the United States, and there was a lot of mockery in that movie too, which is pretty much what we're talking about with the presidency. But all the people that are literally invading our country, and it's not like it's like 100 people, it's hundreds of thousands of people that are just fleeing to the United States. So what I found out in my investigation, Creepy Joe told President of Mexico, hey, we're going to do something, can you just hold them off, right? And then I guess Creepy Joe promised the Mexican president something, and he did not, you know, keep up to the end of his bargain or whatnot. So the Mexican president says, "Here you go, get out of my country." And what's crazy is if you looked at the route where these Haitians are coming from, it doesn't make sense why they're coming this long route when they could come directly to the United States from the island of Haiti. Okay, so the island of
Well,
Haiti.
we're running out of time, so I hate to cut you off, but I got to go to work,
Okay.
so I apologize about that. So we'll have to talk about this on the next go.
Yes.
Once again, thank you so much, Snow Pro Manuel, for joining us, and if you will, please go to our Twitter page at We Are Max Lib. Follow us there, and you can go to our YouTube channel at Maximum Libertarian. We'll have videos up starting again this week. And what's your channel called? Do you have a channel you want to push?
I'm on Rumble, and it's called American Receipts 1776. And I also have beautiful chili on Rumble as well, because I am a chef by trade, and I have a huge love for history.
Right. So until next time, I'm Brian. That's Chef LiLi. We'll see you later. Thanks again. Bye.